Hello, welcome to Staya While. That's the podcast. And I hate intros. So this is Isaiah. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. And who are you? Tell me who you are. And then I want to tell the story of how we met.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Isaiah. Pronouns are he, him.
Oh, shit. Pronouns. Good for you.
Yeah. Do you want to throw yours in?
Raffela, she, they.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah, Isaiah. Pronouns are he, him. And I'm a little bit of a mixed box. I'm a student finishing hopefully this fall. I also do a lot of mental health advocacy work. I'm a keynote speaker specifically on the topics of mental health and resiliency. I speak to junior highs and high school students. And then on the weekends, I'm also a team lead for adaptabilities, working with youth with disabilities. And it's a good life. I'm loving it.
So when you meet random people and they ask, what do you like give the whole list? Or does it depend like who you're talking to?
It usually depends on who I'm talking to. In these spaces, I like to give the whole, plethora because that's who I am. I'm a mixed box. So,
I get nervous because people are like so innocently like, oh yeah, what do you do? And I'm like, well, I do. And then I just panic and then they look at me like I'm crazy because I am. But
no.
So good for you for actually like being proud or confident in it.
Yeah,
you know what
I'm proud of what I do. And I think you should be proud of what you're doing. Like, otherwise, why are you doing it? Do something else.
Great question. I'll take that to therapy. I'll think about it. I'll reflect on it. But how we met is funny. So we were at the IAYMH Youth Mental Health Conference in Vancouver, which was chill and expensive and inaccessible, but also cool. And there was a bunch of like keynote speakers and stuff. And then I remember this like guy would go to the mic and like always ask a question, but they were good questions. And I was like, oh, who's that guy? Is he like a doctor or something? Because it was a very like clinical space. And then flying home, I saw the guy. And I was like, oh, guy's going to Edmonton. Is that the guy? And I was like, wait, but I don't know if that's the guy. Like, don't go talk to him if it's not the guy. Oh my God. And then we were leaving. My partner and I were about to like get in an Uber. And I was like, I have to do it. So I literally just walked up to you and I was like, hi, were you at that thing? Were you at that IAYMH thing? And you're like, yeah. I was like, okay, cool. Me too. Let's be friends. Or I don't know what I said. And I think I like gave you my email and then like ran or something.
Yeah, you had to catch your Uber. But yeah, that's basically how we met. I saw you a few times at the conference and there was just too many people to introduce yourself to everyone.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah, I love how we met. I would not change it. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
It's just like, okay, I'm just sorry for attacking you verbally outside an airport.
Yeah.
Encroaching on your space. But I'm glad that we met. Like, that was so random, but it's cool to meet other like mental health advocates because the ones I know are in like Ontario or something. I'm like, ugh, nothing in the prairies. Not that people should be in the prairies. Like, it's not, I don't think it's a fun time.
Absolutely.
But it's nice to have other people to like talk to and relate to, even though you're young and you can't relate to like me being old, but that's okay.
We're not that far off. No, I mean, like being a mental health advocate can be really lonely. And I feel like a lot of our work is online. And so you see our faces and you know who we are, but we don't get the chance to connect. So it's good when we finally have people that connect and we can do things. We can collab, we can make projects and initiatives and things like that.
Yeah. So tell me your thing. How did you end up here? Why do you care about mental health? What ick things happened in your life that made you want to help other people?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Give me all your trauma, but actually like you don't have to. Like, tell what you want to tell.
Absolutely.
You can leave shit out. Whatever. It's up to you.
Absolutely. I heard a quote that said, I recover out loud for those that are silenced.
Who said that? I need to repeat that
Yeah,
to people.
it was actually from the summit that I was at this week. The Healthy Campus Alberta Summit. And when I heard that, I was like, wow, that just, I always knew why I did what I did.
Can you say it again? I'm sorry. I need to repeat it.
I hope I'm saying it right.
I don't care. It's really, whatever you're saying is still good.
Yeah. So, I recover out loud for those that are silenced. Those that are silenced and trying to recover and can't. So
that is so good.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm stealing that for sure. Thank you for saying that.
It's not even mine. It's not even
you
mine.
stole it. I'll steal it from you. It's a circle of life.
Yeah. But that's truly why I do what I do. And I love how you said it, the ick parts of my life. And, I think things got icky before I even really was aware of it. When I was in high school, I was very focused on athletics and academics. I was a football player for 14 years. By the time I got to high school, I'd been playing already for about 7 years. And so when I was in high school, I had a lot of anxiety because I put so much pressure on myself. And lots of people will be like, was it your parents? Like, who put
That's what
that
I'm saying.
pressure
Like, yeah,
on you?
was any of it external?
I honestly, I can't say that. Like, no one put pressure on me. No one told me I had to be a football player or had to go to school. I wanted to go to school and I wanted to go to university. I wanted to be a football player. So I just put that pressure on myself. And even up to the point that I got to high school, I had no reason to be anxious. I had been very successful. And it's funny because I didn't really go out of my way to say, hey, I want to be a football player. It was a friend that introduced me to the game and was like, hey, let's play together. And so I I I played. I put on the helmet and I didn't take it off for a really long time. But when I left high school is when everything blew up. So I got an offer in 2019 from the University of Alberta from Chris Morris himself, who is now the president of the Elks. I just love saying that because I know that guy. It's a proud connection that I have in my life. And it was my one and only offer. I almost quit coming out of high school. I just didn't think I wanted to continue. But I did. I signed on that dotted line. And 2 months into the season, I got a concussion. And concussions are different for everyone. Mine was bizarre. Like, I've never experienced something like this in my life. So got a concussion on the Saturday and then felt totally fine. I got hit. I know exactly what hit it was, but felt completely fine after. Sunday rolls around, didn't really feel anything. Monday, I go to class. I'm in math. And I mean, math is already confusing as it is. But I was in a different universe. Like, I was confused. I was totally out of my body, kind of having that out of body experience. And I remember not knowing what was happening around me and anything like that. Somehow I walked myself to the hospital and they asked me for my phone number and address. I couldn't tell them any of that because I couldn't remember it. But long story short, after, I got the help, I realized, oh, this is a concussion. My whole life changed. I couldn't go to practice. I had to lay off of sport and I had to lay off of school because I couldn't read. I couldn't study. That took a huge toll, not just on my mental health, but all my grades. I was nearly flunking out. And that rocked my world because for the first time, the two things that I cared about the most were taken away from me, sports and school. And I was just left in that silence. I was just left to think my own thoughts, which is not so scary now. But at the time, it was I was dealing with a lot of anxiety. And so I didn't tell anyone. I didn't tell my mom. I didn't tell my dad. I didn't tell my coaches. I didn't, really have any close friends to tell. And I suffered in silence. And I suffered in silence for about 2 months. And then it changed again. I was feeling depressed like I'd never felt before. And a couple weeks later, I remember walking to class. It's -40. It's snowing. And I remember looking down at the ground and thinking, I don't want to live anymore. And that's when that wake-up call hit me. I had never said those words to myself. I never felt like that in my life. And that was my reason to finally speak about what I was going through because I was desperate. Everyone goes through suicidal ideation differently, but for me it was I know what I'm feeling and I'm not going to let it take me over. I just refuse. I'm going to die trying, no pun intended. I'm going to do everything I possibly can. And I found someone that I trusted. Funny enough, it was the president of the athletics board, which sounds scary. Why would you walk into this grand office and tell this person all this stuff that's happening to you? And the answer is I was desperate. That's how desperate I was. I didn't want to tell anyone that was too close to me. And I felt perfect distance, someone that understands sports enough that, would care about me, but not too close. Perfect. So told him and got referred to my first therapist. And that was the beginning of what I thought was going to be the end. And it wasn't. For the next 5 years, I developed severe anxiety. I've never been clinically diagnosed, but I would have anxiety attacks to the point where, you know, it's not like just hyperventilating and sweating and racing thoughts. I would literally faint, like out, like unconscious, faint on the ground. And it would, like, I've fainted probably over dozens of times. I've fainted in my car. I've fainted on the field. I have film of it. Like, if anyone ever wanted to be like, hey, I don't believe you, I'm like, I can pull up
who
the
would
film.
say like, oh, I don't believe you? First of all,
mean,
that's
yeah,
crazy, but
of course, but like, yeah, like that's how
wow.
real it was in my life. Like, it was just everywhere. Like, I could, anywhere I was in my life, I was like, oh, I fainted over there. Oh, that happened over there. That happened over there. And it was all because of my anxiety.
Was it like situational, like when your anxiety got so like high that
Yeah.
you'd faint? Or was it just kind of like you always have anxiety, so then fainting would like randomly happen?
It was, I would say it's situational, and it took me a while to figure that out. And I guess like what it was really situated around was athletics. I remember driving in my car, and like before I hopped in my car, totally fine. I'm about to go to practice, everything's cool. And I'm driving in my car, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere, I'm just like freaking out. And it's just getting worse and worse and worse as I get closer to the field. And before you know it, I'm walking to the facility, and instead of going, you know, right to my meetings, I take a left to the athletics trainer and be like, yo, I don't know what's happening to me right now. I need help now. So there I am sitting in the athletics, you know, clinic, doing deep breaths and trying to calm myself down. And yeah, that was like the first time I fainted. It was crazy. Like I didn't know what happened. And that happened over and over and over again. And it always seemed to be around sports. Funny enough, though, I never had anxiety on game days. Like game days, totally fine. I was ready. I was in the zone. But when it came to like practice or meetings or like just couldn't do it. Like couldn't do it. So yeah, like that happened for a good like 4 or 5 years.
4 or 5 years of
4 or 5
fainting.
Yes. Yes.
And you and your family were like, this is fine.
Well, I mean, I think
That's not really judgmental. No. I take that back. I'm like, okay, you just kind of like, this is happening for 4 to 5 years. Yeah, well, like, okay.
That, I mean, at that point, it was hard to hide from my family. Like my partner knew and my mom knew, and they knew it was my anxiety, but like they were learning just as much as I was. I didn't know anything about mental health. It's the reason why I got so like avid about it. It's the reason why I joined jack.org and became a speaker and all those things and talked to youth about mental health, because I was like, if I didn't know about it, how many other people don't know about it? So yeah, I just started speaking about it. And, you know, it's, you know, as much as it was like I was doing something to impact someone else's life that may be struggling, I was also healing. Like talking about it was my therapy. I'd been to therapists. Yes, it worked. I'd been on and off of medication, but talking about it, it's the reason why I can like sit on this couch and like talk about it like it's just normal, because I've done it so many times and there's absolutely no shame in it, because it is what it is. Like why would I lie about what's happened to me? Why would I pretend like it didn't happen? Like it's impacted so much of my life, and it's not just negatively impacted my life, it's positively impacted my life. Like the connections that I've made, the skills that I've learned emotionally, like emotional intelligence, like those are tough skills that, yeah, I learned them the hard way, but hey, I learned them, and I'm super, super grateful for them. So yeah, just to like, I guess, wrap up the story. I've been telling my story like this. So October 31st was the last day, or October 31st of 2023, more specifically, was the last day I was an athlete. And November 1st, 2023, I got really lost. Like I was absolutely lost. And the reason why I say I was lost is because for the first time on that November 1st, I could no longer walk up to someone and say, hey, my name is Isaiah. I play for the, because I wasn't an athlete. My whole identity was wrapped up in athletics. I've been an athlete for 14 years. I put all my pride and all of who I was on plays and tackles and awards, right? So when I left, it was like I had to figure out who I was. Like I didn't know who I was, and that took, I'd say it took me a good year to finally figure out like what I wanted to do and see that there's a life after athletics. And it's funny, we're all like, as athletes, I feel like we're warned about it. like I was writing in my journal and thinking about the times when your coach is like, yeah, I remember when I was an athlete, enjoy it while it lasts. And it's kind of like these warning signs. Like, what do you mean? Like, why are you saying it like that? And it's because they know that when it's done, it's done. Like, there's no going back. And the pain that you feel, especially for those athletes that have been playing for so long, it's a huge hole that's just left. Like, you can't. There's very few things in life that'll fill that. But I found that, it is possible to fill that hole. No, I can't strap up my helmet and go, hit somebody and things like that. But, being an athlete is not about how many points you put on the board. It's not about the heroic saves that you make in a game. Being an athlete is a true transformation. The reason why I know I can do hard things is because I woke up how many times for 6 a.m. for a coach to yell at me and tell me to do the same thing over and over and over again, even when I didn't want to do it. And it showed me that I can do really hard things, right? It's a transformation. It's why, for a while, yes, I loved the game, but I loved training. And that's because it was a process. I loved the process. And every good athlete, like NBA, NFL, they will tell you, you got to fall in love with the process if you want to be good. So yeah, that's my long-winded story, but that's where we're at today. That's where we're at.
Thank you for sharing that with me. I feel like I just watched your life.
Yeah.
But my question is, I understand what you're saying of like, okay, you're no longer an athlete. You've like tied your identity to that, perhaps your self-worth. I don't know, not putting words in your mouth.
Yeah.
Who were you before you were an athlete?
That's a great question. And, it's hard to think about that. I started playing sports when I was 7 years old. So I don't know. How many things do you remember after, like before
Unfortunately,
7?
way too much.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. Okay. Maybe that's a bad question. Maybe some people remember a little too much, but like, I don't remember. Like, I really don't remember. I could say like, yeah, I was a shy, quiet kid, but like, I don't know like what my interests were or what I did. Like, I don't know what I did. I don't know who I was. And that's why I think it's like the hardest for athletes that have been playing for so long, because that's literally all they know. They grow up in a family that's watched the sports that they play. They're going to games all the time. They're most likely multi-sport athletes. So they're like, their whole life is sports. So yeah, I don't know. That's a great question.
No, that makes sense because you were so young when you started. I was just thinking, yeah, that was just interested. Like, okay, like, yeah, how did you feel like pre-athletics? And like, I really resonate with what you're saying about like you threw yourself into sport, you threw yourself into school, kind of like overachieving perhaps, that I very much relate to. And so for me, it was like overcompensating because I thought I sucked and that I wasn't enough, undiagnosed, untreated ADHD. And so I had to like be perfect or like prove myself in the world, which is interesting. So I hear also how deep it is when that's taken away. The concussion, you can't do school, you can't do sport. Like, that's huge, especially if you've tied any part of your identity or yourself to those things. I'm just reflecting. Also, your story about how you even found out about mental health is so similar to mine. I didn't get a concussion. I didn't play football. But the whole like physical symptom thing, and you're like, what the hell is wrong with me?
Yeah.
Like, did you have to like go to a bunch of doctors and be like, what's happening? Or did you know like, oh, this is anxiety from like the get-go?
Good question. I think the beginning was more so my symptoms were depressive, so I knew it was depression. Okay. Yeah, I would say to reiterate, the anxiety really came after COVID, and I know lots of people are gonna be like, well, duh, it happened after COVID. Was it totally related to COVID? Yeah, of course. I'm not gonna say that's not a factor, but I feel like after COVID, that is when like I got the chance to start on the team, to be a really active piece, and that's where all the pressures started to come in. So I feel like it was a lot of external pressures, but I know for my anxiety, like when I was fainting, I would say, I don't know whether to call it a small piece of me or a big piece of me knew that I was fainting because of my anxiety. But because I was an athlete, I had to make sure like it wasn't like my heart or anything like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I went to doctor, and usually these doctor visits were not they were not appointments. They were ambulance visits because I would faint,
Oh,
and then it's like, hey, well, this is a perfect time to
that's a
check out
good
what's
way to
going
get
on.
in nice and fast
Yeah.
if you
So,
faint.
but yeah, I've done like 24-hour ECGs and it's like try to figure out if my heart had any issues. And yeah, my heart was fine. So like after I did all that testing, I was like, there's no doubt in my mind, it's anxiety. So I just had to accept it. And when I started to accept it, I don't want to say it got better, but it just became a little less blurry. Like I knew what I needed to work on. I didn't need to like shove pills down my throat for my heart. It was like, no, maybe I need to shove a couple, love bugs down my throat and show myself some compassion every now and then.
That
So I'm
was
not,
so cute.
yeah.
I love that. I have a really hard time being compassionate with myself.
Yeah.
How do you do that? Are you good at that? You seem like,
Oh.
I don't know, you just seem very like chill and like centered and like stable.
Can you tell my wife that?
I would love to.
Yeah. I feel like that, like lots of people will tell me that, like, yeah, you seem like you got it all together. But I feel like
yeah, okay.
I'm like really good at masking. I feel like I'm very good at masking. And I feel like I got really good at it with my anxiety because I don't know, I don't want to say that I can control my anxiety, but it was like if I was having an anxiety attack and I knew I just had to last like the next 50 minutes before I could be in private, I could hold it together. And then as soon as that time was done, it's like, okay, I'm going to faint in the bathroom. So see ya. Right.
Oh my
So
gosh.
yeah, I've just been able to mask it. But I think also it's hard to be compassionate to yourself from an athletic point of view because it doesn't happen very often. It's hard to tell yourself, hey, give yourself some rest because you can't rest in practice. You can't rest when you have physical demands on your body and when coaches have expectations of you. So I feel like compassion is still something that I struggle with even today. And I find it's, for an example, like when I still work out a lot. Like I work out like 6 days a week and it's hard for me to say to myself, hey, like you're not feeling well today. It's okay. You don't have to go. No one's going to yell at you. You're not getting cut from any team because you're not on a team anymore.
Right.
So yeah, it's still hard. And I think it will always be hard. Like I don't think I'll get to a place where it's like, yeah, it's easy just to love myself because there's always going to be that drive in me to push myself. And I wouldn't want to lose that. Right. Cause that's why I get up in the morning. Like I drive, like I grind, I put in the work and I love it. But I think it's finding that balance. I think that's what I think is possible. Finding a balance between pushing yourself, but also being compassionate.
Okay, literally, that's what I was talking about with my therapist because I'm like really hard on myself.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, what would happen if you were nice? I'm like, well, maybe I wouldn't accomplish the things that I want to do. If I'm just like, it's okay, Raffela, peace and love, you don't have to do it, then maybe I won't do all the things, that I'm passionate about, that I have to push myself to do.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I have to be hard on myself. Otherwise, what if, what if I'm just like mediocre? What if I just give up and I just live like a normal, boring life? Like that would suck.
I think a lot of people deal with that. I was actually like struggling with the same thing this week. And this week it just hit me. What if I just gave myself permission to fail? Like what if I just allowed myself to fail? And that sounds like, oh, you're lowering your standards. Why would you do that? But it's like, no, like what if I got to a place where I was no longer afraid to fail because I gave myself permission to fail? Would I strive that extra mile that I need to succeed, right? Because I feel like everyone is very close to succeeding, but it's like that extra little bit that they don't push because they're scared. Because if they push that little bit, then it's really embarrassing if they fail. But I feel like that's what it takes. Like if there's one thing that I've learned from athletics is you got to go all in. Otherwise, you deserve to lose. Like it sounds really harsh, but if you don't like selling a product, like if you didn't believe 100% in what you were selling, if it was a product, why would anybody else buy it? So yeah, like to you and to viewers, like give yourself permission to fail. Like it's okay to fail. Like most people fail before they succeed. And that's unfortunately, social media just highlights like the good points. Like, oh, how did they get to that success? And it's like, no, I've gotten to a point where it's like, no, I actually want to see where this person failed and fell on their face. And I want to see how many times they did it, because, you know, if it's 20, it's like, well, I only got 15 more to go. And then I'm going to be there. Right. Like, but yeah, that openness to fail, I think is important to succeed.
Oh my God. Failure's not been my friend.
Yeah.
But like even the word failure, because I'm like, it feels like permanent. You failed, like game over, it's done. But it's like, okay, but failure isn't permanent. It's like, oh, that one thing didn't work out. Is that technically failure, or is that just me adapting and learning? And I agree, the social media thing, even me trying to be like a content creator, you see these people with like millions of followers and you're like, I suck. Look at them. Look at them doing all the things. I am the worst.
Yeah.
And lately, rejection's been a really big part of my life. So I tie that with failure. I tried to start posting my rejection letters because I was like, this sucks. First of all, I don't like misery loves company. I want other people to like, about it with me. But it was like the same, like, okay, how can I, in a way, like celebrate the rejections or celebrate the failures? I'm trying to like trick myself because I still think they suck. But I'm like, oh, let me trick myself into thinking this is fun. Someone said that they had a friend that like counted their failures or rejections and said, okay, I need to get like 10 rejections every month. Like that's the goal.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God. Like that's like life altering, because then like you put yourself out there more, like even apply for things you know you're not gonna get into, but at least you're trying. And so I tried to go in with that mentality. I'm like, yeah, rejections. I got like 5 and I'm like, I'm done. This is too much. I don't want any more. Thank you so much.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. And I think for me, the difference is it's not about winning or losing. It's about winning and learning. Someone told me that the only L's you can ever take in life is learning. And that was like, wow, right?
You have a lot of like good one-liners. Yeah. I'm just like, oh my God, I need to write all these down.
Yeah, well, that's what I do. Like, that's what I do. I write them down because you'll forget them. So, but yeah, like when you turn, like more specifically, like there's that mentality where you can turn rejection into kind of a game. It's like, okay, I'm going to try and get rejected like 10 times this month. But then there's a difference between people that just get rejected and those that actually go back and critically like analyze their rejection of like, don't just say, oh, they rejected me because it's me. No, like why, right? So if you put out a video and this one only gets like 10 views and there's another one that gets 100, well, why is there that difference, right? When you start thinking about it critically, then it doesn't feel so much of like a negative experience because it's like you have control. And I feel like when you get rejected, it's like, well, what else am I supposed to do? Like, I'm just going to be a failure. And it's like, no, like you can learn so much from that so that the next time you try, yeah, let's be honest, you may fail again. But there's a better chance that you don't, right? So I think it's like having that difference in mindset. Rejection is just like, it's learning. It's a learning opportunity.
It's learning.
Yeah.
And I even love what you said about like, you have to push yourself like all the way. Because I'm terrified. I'm like, I'm going to do the thing. And then I'm like, people are going to judge me. Like, this is awkward. If I go even harder, and then people are like, oh my God, look at you. You ran straight into that brick wall. That's so bad. You know, it's like I'm confidently doing this thing. I'm confidently failing. But I know that's what I need to do. Or I think there's a part of it is like, what if I gave it my all and that still wasn't good enough? That means I suck. When I'm like, oh, I missed the deadline is easier than they rejected me. Or, oh, you know, I just was scared to do that thing is easier than I gave it my all and they don't like my all or something. Even though I know what you said, it's like not necessarily all about you, but I take it as that. I'm like, I suck. They hate me as a person. So I think that's where it's like I need an excuse to not like really internalize it, which sucks. But do you apply for things? Do you do things that you can fail at?
I apply for a lot of things. The thing that I'm really like addicted to now is physical challenges. So I just pledged like on Wednesday that I'm gonna run 400 kilometers by the time September 16th hits. I have it written down.
Why?
So there's a guy right now running across the country, like very similar to Terry Fox, but he's doing it for mental health. So it's like 7,500 or 1,000, can't remember which one it is, kilometers across the country. And I'm like, that's crazy. But attached to what he's doing, there's a in motion challenge, and the challenge is to move for 75 days, or challenge yourself to run or walk a certain distance. So I was like, why don't I just do both? Why don't I move for 75 days? Because I'm gonna be moving for 75 days anyways if I'm working out and running. So I'm like, I'll pledge to that too. But I was like, that doesn't really like scare me to move for 75 days. Like, I've been an athlete, moving for 75 days is not scary. 400 kilometers scares me to death. And it's that aspect that I'm addicted to, because I love proving to myself that I can do hard things. And I feel like it's the reason why every time when something doesn't go to plan, it's like, oh, it's fine. It's okay. Because like, I've challenged myself so many times, and I know what I'm capable of doing, and I know where I need to work on. And I feel like that's a big thing. Like, people don't know where they need to work on, and so they just sit there and like, oh, I'm not good enough. And it's like, okay, you're not good enough, but why aren't you good enough, right? So that's just how I take it. It's my perspective. What I'm
Even like just listening to you, you do seem very, like sure of yourself. And you're like, yeah, it's okay to fail. I can do hard things. You seem so, I don't know, chill. But then you say it's so much is masking. So how much do you mask even now?
Ooh, that's a good question.
And how do you unmask?
Yeah. I'll say right now, I'm pretty good. I am pretty good. I'm not masking. I promise right
so
now.
Then you are like normal.
Yeah, no. I definitely am normal. I try.
I say that because I'm not normal. I just want to clarify. It's
No.
Like you're like, I'm like, oh, you're like a normal human.
Normal is I could go into that, but I'm not going to. Normal is a whole abstract thought. But no, in terms of masking, no, I still have like really bad days, 100%. I think what the difference is I'm just quicker at bouncing back. Because there'd be lots of times where I would get down and I'd be down for a really long time. And now it's like, I still allow myself to be down, because I never think that you should just like, it's not about bouncing back or bouncing back quickly, because that's not the point. I think it's more so like learning from when you're down, and it just becomes less of a challenge each time. And I think that's what I've been able to do. But yeah, like, I don't know. I still mask. I guess my answer is I still mask. Like, I'm still.
And I don't want to blame you for that.
No.
Like, how dare you mask? I mean, it is protective.
No, it's
right?
protective.
It's how we get through the world.
Exactly.
Sometimes.
It's a normal aspect.
Yeah.
I think it's just, don't mask. Like, I think that's the other thing too. Like, people mask to themselves too. Like, when you're at home and you look at yourself in the mirror and you want to cry, just cry. Like, why would you hold back tears? Like, it's okay. Like, just cry. I always tell my wife that. She'll like try and like hold back the tears, and I'm like, why are you pretending to cry? Like, just cry, It's okay.
Interesting. I cry so much. I can see a dog and I'll just start crying. And that's embarrassing. I'm like, hey, I need to pull it together. People are judging me.
No, like, why? Like, emotions are good. Like, people say there's like bad and good emotions. Yes, there's like negative emotions like sadness or anger or whatever, but there's no bad emotions. Like, what does that even mean? Like, a bad emotion? So you're telling me if I'm angry at somebody because someone slapped me across the face, I shouldn't be angry? Like, that doesn't make sense. You have emotions for a reason, right?
Yeah, I've heard people say that anger is actually so good because it means it's like your sense of like justice. Like someone did something wrong to you, or I don't know.
Exactly.
It's like, no, this isn't right. I need to fix it. Something needs to happen.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
kind of cool.
So, yeah, emotions. It's good.
We have like 8 minutes left, but
it's all good.
What needs to happen? I want to know what happens in the mental health landscape for you. Because now that you're in the space, you do the talkie talks with the youths and you're doing your thing.
Yeah.
In that time, have you seen like, oh, this really sucks, or we need to change this, or Yeah, what are your thoughts on everything?
I think right now the thing that's bugging me the most is suicide rates. Like, it's just absolutely crazy. There's someone that I follow on LinkedIn that posts about young people that have died by suicide, and it's crazy. She has someone to post every single day,
Oh,
like every single day, and it's like, why are you posting this? Like, why are you? But it's to raise the point that every single day someone's dying by suicide. That's insane. And when I see like people that are under 18 that are dying by suicide, it's like your life hasn't even started. And I don't mean that in the way of like, it hasn't even gotten bad, buddy. Like, if you're having trouble now,
yeah,
but it's like
yeah.
no one should die by suicide, right? And I think that's the piece that people miss is like, okay, yes, we're losing people, but do you also understand what it takes to even get to that point? Like, we have people every single day that feel that bad, that feel a certain way, that they feel like the only way to escape is by death. Like, that's just insane. And I see it a lot amongst youth. And the sad part is like they don't have safe spaces to talk about it. They don't have parents that understand or are willing to talk about it. And part of that is also like when you have circumstances where your parents are not from here and mental health is already taboo,
It's huge.
those ones I can definitely sympathize with. But, I feel like everyone needs to get to at least a place where if someone feels like they're at a place where they no longer want to live, hold that space for them. Like, just hold it. It doesn't matter why they feel like that. It doesn't matter whether you think it's valid or not. Just hold that space for them because they're at wit's end already. And I think that's what like kills me when it comes to youth is there's not enough safe spaces and there's not enough solutions for youth to talk about and to get support.
And you think like in person is maybe more impactful than like virtual spaces? Do you think they're both important? Because I know people are like trying to throw money at the mental health problem, but it's like, in my opinion, it needs to be like the people with lived experience doing this work, getting the youth involved, not just like consulting them, build it with the youth.
Yeah,
Because they know what they need, they know what they want.
exactly.
And I just feel like we're missing the mark constantly. It's
Yeah.
so frustrating.
Absolutely. I think both virtual and in-person spaces are valid. And I was actually talking about this week that there is research to show that friendships or relationships virtual versus in person are equally just as effective. So it's really just preference. And I think both spaces should be held, not even just for the pure fact of like I feel comfortable online. There's a lot of people that don't have access to a clinic. So to be virtual is like amazing, or even just purely time. Like, I rarely do in-person meetings now. And it's like, not because I love meeting people in person, I prefer that. But sometimes time just doesn't permit, or, sometimes I don't want to be rushing every which way around the city.
Sucks,
Yeah.
right? You
So
just open your laptop, slam it shut,
yeah,
done.
exactly. And like you said, the co-creation I think is super important, and that is something that I'm actually seeing a lot more of. Like, even the conferences and summits that I'm going to, people are like boasting about how many youth and people that are the target audience are actually there having the conversation, because it is important. Because if we're going to create solutions but not ask the people that it's intended for if it's going to work or if that's what they need, we're wasting so much time and money.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I agree like 100% with literally everything. And I hope people listen to that. Is there anything else you need the world to know, or you need to get off your chest? You need to like help the people that are struggling in the world.
And
You have to fix all of the world's problems in
in a
5
couple
seconds.
minutes,
Ready?
yeah. Oh, honestly, there's so much going on in the world, and it's affecting a lot of people. Like, it's crazy.
Free
And
Palestine.
yeah, for real. Like so many things that are happening around the world, and for me, it's weird because it's like, sometimes I'm so focused on what I'm doing and mental health that I kind of almost forget about it. But I forget about the fact that people are affected by what I'm ignoring, which is like the world. I just want to see people be kind. Like, just kindness. Like, does it really matter whether someone is purple, orange, or yellow? Does it really matter if people believe that the sky is purple? Does it really matter to the point where we have to threaten people's like basic needs and their lives? No, it just doesn't make any sense to me. So yeah, I think that's like the number one message that I'm really trying to practice myself and preach is just be kind. Like, just be kind to people. Like, it's the simplest thing that we can do to make an impact in somebody's life. And we may not have all the answers right now. We don't have the best resources for mental health, but I can tell you many times where people have just been kind to me when I'm struggling, and it doesn't fix everything, but it gets me to the next day. And sometimes that's all I need. I just need to get to the next day.
100%.
Yeah.
Be kind to others. Be kind to yourself. All of that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Isaiah, for joining me on the podcast.
Of course.
That's it.
Cool.